thethings.iO friends, this is a new edition of the IoT Friday, and today I'm going to talk about 5 steps to rapid prototype your next thing connected to the internet. And I'm going to do it with the help of my new Riot board from Element 14 from Freescale. So if you want to connect anything to the internet, you have to take into account some things that are important. The first thing is, what is your thing? What is the goal that you are aiming to build your next thing? So it's why are you doing this thing? And the second is the value that you are proposing. So what is the added value of your thing? Are you building this for someone or it's for you? So this is something also important to take into account when you build something. The second are the requirements. What are the requirements of the environment or where are you going to deploy your next thing? So are you going to deploy it in the middle of nature, or are you going to deploy it in an event or in your house? So this will affect the reliability of your next thing. So take that into account, the environment. The second is the users. Who are going to use it? Are you building for you, this next thing? Or are you building to sell it to third-party people or to companies? So this is also something that you have to take into account. Who are the users of your next thing? And do you have special needs? Do you need to build buttons or anything special, or it has to vibrate or move? So take that also very into account, because you will need a specific voltage, etc. The interaction is also something important. Are you going to have only physical interaction with your next thing, or you're going to have virtual interaction? So maybe you need to build a mobile application or a tablet application. And the design. So do you need a 3D printing box to have your next thing, or it's just a board like this in the middle of your home? And also another that is interesting that I found in some of the projects that I deployed, it's, do you need remote programming? So do you need from your house to actually deploy any version of the program that it's working hundreds of kilometers from your house, for example? This is something also that you need to take into account if you build anything. The third is the connectivity. So my first question is, do you need connectivity? Do you need that this thing needs to be connected to the internet? If yes, we go further, but if you don't need it, if it's just lights or physical interactions local in the space where you have your thing, maybe you don't need internet connection. So do you have Wi-Fi in the place that you are going to make your next thing? If you're at an event, be careful, because Wi-Fis are not very reliable. So take that into account as well. Or do you want to connect it through a mobile phone? That's also another possibility. Maybe you, through Bluetooth, you can talk to your mobile phone, and your mobile phone talk to the internet. And another issue that I found in some of the projects I deployed, that they are in the middle of nowhere and there is no connectivity there. So I deployed a sensor in the middle of the ocean. So how do you connect that to the internet? So maybe you need to think about what kind of antennas and what kind of battery do you need to have your thing deployed on that space. I mean, do you need a satellite to connect to the internet? Do you need a special bandwidth communication channels? So think also about that. About the hardware, depending on the thing that you are going to build, what's the CPU needs that you have? So you need a rapid CPU with a specific speed, or it's not needed. And memory. Do you need a lot of memory to store data, or the data will be stored somewhere else, or you don't need to store data? And what is the price? This is also important. If you are going to sell it and you want to make it scalable, maybe you need a reasonable price to sell it, right? Or if you are doing it for your house, it's fine to have a bunch of sensors and you don't care about the price. And finally, for hardware, for me, it's also important, what is the programming language? So are you skilled on JavaScript or on C, or on what are your programming skills? So with that, you also can take a decision if you want to program it. So if you want to program a Linux, you can use something like a Riot board or Raspberry Pi, etc. If you want to do something more C, you can go to Arduinos or other specific platforms. Or if you even want to develop with JavaScript, you can use now new platforms that are using JavaScript as the programming language as well. And finally, the fifth step for rapid prototyping your next thing is where do you want to store the data. If your thing generates data, you want to store it locally. Maybe you have an SD card connected to your thing, and you can store all the data there, and then you go one day there and you just store this data in another place. Or maybe you want to store it in the cloud, but it's another solution. There are a lot of new platforms like thethings.iO that actually helps you to store this data to the cloud. So take that also into account when you will rapid prototype your next thing. So that's all. See you in the next edition of the IoT Friday. Bye.